Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random book reviews from the Overflow Room Annex. Well, in our last video, we talked a lot about Brahms. We had 3 books on Brahms, or 2 books on Brahms. And here we have 3 books on Dvořák, his good buddy. So, this is one of the great friendships of 19th century music. 2 composers who were in some ways very alike and in other ways extraordinarily different. And so it's really fun to study them simultaneously, actually. It really is. Here we have Dvořák and His World. We'd already talked about Brahms and His World. And this is a collection of essays that is edited and put together by Michael Beckerman, who's a first-class Dvořák scholar. He works out of NYU, actually. I don't know if he's still there, but he was. And he really knows what he's talking about. He understands the period, the composer, and there's some wonderful essays. So let us take a look at these. Looking for Dvořák in December 1992. That's Mr. Beckerman's introduction. Then we've got essays. Reversing the Critical Tradition, Innovation, Modernity, and Ideology in the Work and Career of Dvořák by Leon Botstein. Dvořák and Brahms, A Chronicle and Interpretation, David Beveridge. He's a very good scholar of this stuff. I've spoken to him on various occasions in connection with the Third Symphony and its relationship to Dvořák's music. So, he's somebody you should pay attention to. Dvořák and His World, A Concentrated Moment by Joseph Horowitz. Dvořák the Operas by Jan Smochny, Dvořák scholar. The Master's Little Joke, Antonin Dvořák and the Mask of Nation by Beckerman. Then we've got Documents and Criticism, Reviews and Criticism from Dvořák's American Years. Those are fun. Letters from Dvořák's American Period, a selection of unpublished correspondence received by Dvořák in the U.S. A biographical sketch of Dvořák. Dvořák in the Czech press, unpublished reviews and criticism, and a discussion of 2 tone poems based on texts by Urban, The Wood Dove and the Golden Spinning Wheel by none other than Janáček. I mean, it's worth having a book just to get Janáček on these 2 pieces. He really liked them, by the way. So Dvořák and His World, another one of those terrific symposia collections that's absolutely wonderful. So here we go. There's that one. Then we've got Otakar Šourek, let me get the pronunciation, Šourek, who is the preeminent Czech Dvořák scholar. And here we have the orchestral works of Dvořák, which is translated by Roberta Finlayson Samsor. The English version is by Herbert Greenwood Press in Westport, Connecticut, published in 1950-something. And reprinted in 1970. Now, I have to say, I read this very carefully. This was like a big deal because Dvořák is, I love Dvořák, and I was writing a book on Dvořák, and Šourek is one of the primary sources. There's a lot of very nice description and decent analysis, and also a lot of stuff that I think is fairly nonsensical. Dvořák's reputation among his colleagues is kind of, it's not all that rigorous from a scholarly point of view. And there are political factions in small countries like Czechoslovakia about composers like Dvořák, and we don't know what they are. All we know is that when we read these studies, we find strange comments about things that, they don't like things, or they do like things, or they dismiss certain things for reasons we're not quite sure what's going on. There is a subtext to a lot of this stuff, and you have to take some of what they say with a grain of salt. It doesn't have, especially in the 50s in communist Czechoslovakia, you weren't going to get the kind of academic rigor that we sort of take for granted in, academic work that, comes out of the West and more free thinking, let's put it that way, part of the world at the time. So it's an interesting sort of primary source for commentary on Dvořák, but it certainly isn't the last word. You have to read it with a little bit of skepticism. Then we've got John Clapham's book on Dvořák. This is one of the seminal biographies in English. There it is, so you can see John Clapham, Dvořák. This is a very good basic description of Dvořák. It's part of the, I think it's part of the Master Musician series, or something like that, or it was. It's dedicated to Otakar Šourek, the founder of Dvořák Research. So there you go. And this takes you through his whole life and everything he did. It's a good, readable, easy, enjoyable description of Dvořák. It's not as thorough when it comes to the music. It doesn't go into, I think, some of the more controversial aspects of Dvořák's output. It doesn't really dwell on things like the operas and some of the more interesting pieces he did, the early quartets and whatnot. Yeah, you could talk about the music a bit more, and I think be a little bit more, in depth in the discussion. But it's a good basic biography. And if that's what you're looking for, Clapham is a guy. So there you have it. 3, very interesting books on Dvořák. Dvořák and His World, I think, is the best of the 3. Then the Clapham biography, and then Šourek, who was, important, but subsequent scholarship has rendered a lot of what he did a lot less significant than it was when it first came out, and there was no competition. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.